Hi everybody and welcome to Ages Cozy Crochet Corner. So today I wanted to bring you guys this lovely sweater. I have made this granny sweater I don't know how many times. I think the only thing I've done different with this one is put fringe on the bottom. I don't do that, but I really love how it works on this piece. So I'm going to be working this up today for you guys in a size small. This one is a large. Now, if you're trying to achieve a large, just so you know, I made it in the exact same way that I'm making it small. The only thing that's different is I used a 5mm hook. Okay, so you want to use a 5mm hook in order to achieve this size, which is a large. Um, and the small will be working today. We're working it in the exact same way. The only thing we're doing is we're using a smaller needle. So and another thing that's different, the fringe on this one is 12 inches. So the fringe on the small one will be different. So if you're making this size and you like how long my little tassels are, then you want to do 12 inches. I usually use random things around the house in order to achieve the inches that I want. So I think for this one, what I did was I used a hot pocket box. So if you fold it, because it's flat here, you fold it in half, it achieves your 12 inches. So when you're making and putting your fringe on, don't worry about having anything special. Find the inches that you want. You got books, you got tons of stuff. Just wrap your yarn around, which I'll show you how to do, and you'll be able to achieve whatever size you want, because you don't have to do them that long, and you don't have to do them at all, because this was lovely without it being done, but it just adds to it. And the sleeves are slightly different because it's like one large granny square, which we folded, and then we work some at the top and we work some at the bottom. Okay, these sleeves I have made them go wider with an increase around here. I made them go wider at the bottom, and I want mine to be hanging over a little bit. So watch your arms. If you don't want that much hang, then you'll just put less stitches in it. So we're going to go right to the table for this one, and we'll need about 44 blocks in order to achieve this. So let's get our blocks and let's get to the table. Okay, crochet fam. Before we get into everything else, I want to start and show you the size of this block, and it is 5 inches. Um, it's 5 inches the block, and again, like I said, we make it with a 3.5mm hook. All right, so as you see, the block is 5. Hi, crochet fam. So we coming today working on this one. Like I stated earlier, will be done small. I'm making it for a size small. I am dealing with a 3.5mm hook. Let's see. What else are we doing that I must go over with that? We're doing the 4 colors. So all of our granny squares are going to be uniformed. On this one, I showed you the other one, and it's not really is a bunch of different colors, but this one I kind of wanted to do uniform. I must give it to my oldest daughter, who came up with the color palette. I'm like, pick colors, and these are the colors she picked. I absolutely love it, and this is how it's going to turn out, with all of the colors being the same. Now, what I want to go over with you, usually I come with a bunch of unfinished, unput together granny squares. Well, this time I went ahead and put them almost all together, and I will demonstrate why. Now, when I refer to these pieces, these are panels to me. Okay, so I refer to these all as panels. Now, for this one, we are going to be using 6. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on there. Okay, and we're going to need 1, 2, 3, and let me see how many I have. 4, And oh, get that there, 5. So you will need 5 panels with 6 in it. Okay, 5 panels with 6 in it. Okay, so 5 panels with 6, and then we're going to need 2 panels with 5 in it. 2 panels with 5. All right, so all together in total, we need 44 granny squares. 44 granny squares, because we also have to do pockets, and our pockets require 2 granny squares for our pockets. So once you have your 44 blocks, and I'm going to show you how to assemble these panels, you again, and I'll make sure I put it up on the screen, you'll need 5 with 6 in them and 2 with 5 in them. Okay, so I have not assembled, and I'm gonna put my pocket off to the side. I have not assembled 5 of the granny squares for our last panel with 5 in it. So I'm going to go over now how to assemble these and how to put them together, so you know how to do that. Okay, so in order to put your granny squares together, once you have them all made, you're going to take, and this is the back side, this is the front side. So you're going to take both of the front sides, and this is the front side, see? And you're going to place them together, okay? So you're going to put your front sides facing together. Now, whatever color it is that you're working on your outside, your border, that is the color that you will be using in order to assemble them together. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this around my finger, and make my little almost knot. And we're going to start with our corners. See, that's a corner, and this is a corner. So we're going to insert our hook inside the corners, and we're going to attach our yarn. So I'm going to attach by going through. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go right back into that hole, pull up, and make a single crochet. Now, because all of our granny squares should be the exact same piece, this should be very simple to do. Now, in this cluster of 3, you see the first one, double crochet. We're going to go through the first double crochet here, and what we do in the front, we want to do on the back. So we want to go through the first double crochet in the back in the same place. And then we're going to make a single crochet. Now we're at the second one. We want to go through the second double crochet here at the top, and we also want to go through the second one in the back and make a single crochet. And now the third one, so we want to go into the third one here, and we want to be going into the third one here and make a single crochet. And this is going to be how we're going to join all the way down. Whatever stitch we're in the front, we also want to be, whatever stitch we're in the front, we also want to be in the back. So we're on the first in the next cluster. Now we're on the second. So we want to be on the second in the back. And now we add the third double here, and we want to be at the third double in the back. So whatever we're doing in the front, we want to be doing in the back, and that way it'll all line up. So I'm in the first here, so I'm in the first in the back. In the second one here, so I want to be in the second one in the back. And that is going to be how we're going to join all our pieces together. And we just keep going down. second one here, second one here, and third one here. So we want to be in the third one in the back here. And this is our last cluster. So we want to be at the first one here. We want to be at the first one in the back. And we want to be in the second one here. So we want to be in the second one in the back. And the third one here. So we want to be at the third one in the back. So once you have gone all the way down, your next step is the corner. So we want to go through this corner, and then we're going to go through this corner. And that is it. That is how you're going to achieve putting them together. I always make a single here, and then get my scissors, and I'm just going to cut my work, and I'm going to pull that through and pull it down tight, and there we have it. So this is how we make our panel. We take another one. This is the front. This is the front, so we want to have our backs facing us. We place it down, and we're going to do the exact same thing all over again, starting in the corner, and then we're going to go all the way down. So we go in the corner here, and now we want to go in the corner in the back and add our yarn on, pull through, chain one, go through the same corner, grab our yarn, and then make a single crochet. And now we're just going to go down the line wherever we are in the front. We're on the first double crochet in the first cluster in the front, so we want to be on the first double crochet and cluster in the back. And we're on the second one, so we want to be on the second one in the back. And the third one in the front, so we want to be on the third one in the back. And we're just going to keep going down. This is the next cluster 3, so we're on the first one here. We want to be on the first one in the back, and the second one here, so we want to be on the second in the back, and the third one here, so we want to be on the third one in the back. On to our next cluster, we want to be in the first one here, so we want to be in the first one in the back. And we'll just work through our clusters, going through each one, just making sure everything is lining up, because it all should line up, because they're all the exact same block. You see, you get good, you don't even have to separate it. You should be able to see first one, second one, and third one. And this is how we're going to join and make all of our panels. So I'm going to show you again with the corner how we end it. I'm on the second one in the front, second one in the back, and the third one in the front. So make sure we go to third one in the back. And now back to our corner. We go through the corner in the front, we go through the corner in the back, and make our single, chain up one. I'm going to cut my yarn, pull through, and pull tight. Okay, so now we have a panel of 3, so we just have to add on 2 more. So let's put that in there. I was trying to figure out a simple simpler way of showing you guys. I don't know if you have seen my other tutorials on how to make the sweaters, long sweaters, short sweaters, granny square sweaters, but I wanted to make sure I bring it to you in the simplest of forms. That way everyone can make one of these, because everyone makes granny squares, right? I remember my first time learning how to crochet. It was making a granny square blanket, which is just basically just a square like this, and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And that thing was horrible. I mean, you at the beginning it was so loose, and then as I got better, you could tell my tension was better, and the end of it was wonderful. And I was about 8 years old. And I kept it for a very, very long time. Um, but yeah, granny squares is it's like the absolute beginning for me, and I find myself keep coming back to doing things with granny squares because it just reminds me of when I started, and I just love them. So I want to make sure everyone can jump in here and make this one. So again, just remember when you're putting these together, whatever you're doing in the front, if I'm on the third one in the front, I should be on the third one in the back in that cluster, and then I move on to my next cluster. Here and then here. Yeah. So like I said, I wanted to bring a simple way and of showing you how to do it, and it's all in the panels, because once you've assembled all these panels, it's really quite simple from there. I will say the most challenging part is always attaching the arms. And that's just making sure that they line up where you want them perfectly. All right, the last one. So remember, we're starting in the corner. We start in our corner and we end in our corner. Now, the only different join that we will have will be when we put our panels together. And it's pretty much just the same. We just have to go over it because, again, when we're working our panels together, we now have two corner to corners. So I'll show you how to work that together. It's virtually still the same thing. We're matching everything up, because if you don't match everything up, then when you go to assemble it, you will then have a slight problem. So make sure everything is perfectly paired going down. Second and into the third one, just on our last cluster here. So the first one here and the first one here. And if you notice, when I have little strands hanging out, I always try to work them down. I do weave in all my ends in the color areas here, but my edges where I have ended off on that granny square, I leave them to work in like I'm working in right now. So on our second one, and then our third one, third here, third in the back, and now we're going through the corner here, and we're going through the corner in the back. And I didn't chain one on that one, but if you don't do it, that's okay too. All right, so now we have all of these lined up. Okay, so now that we have our panel of 5 here completed, now we have 2 panels of 5. And remember, we have 6. Well, we have 5 panels with 6 in it, okay? So let me explain to you what these panels are. These panels with 6 in them, 3 of them become our back, okay? So we have 3 of the 6 panels that become our back, and 2 of the 6 panels then become our front, the very front of our work. So our 5 panels are now our sides, which would be right up under our arm. Under our arm, the side panels will always be one less than your front and your back. Okay, so remember that, because then you can toy around and create as you want to. So our 6 panels, take those first. 6 panels, this is our back. And then on top of this, this would be our front. And this 6th one would be our front. And I'm going to slide this over. This one is going to be on our side, but it's going to start down at the bottom, and it's going to be missing one right here. So it's going to be where our armhole later on will be created. Don't worry if you don't remember all of that. We'll work this up together. So the first thing I want you to do, let's move the front and the side pieces. We're going to join together our back pieces. So we need 3 panels of 6 for our back. So I'm going to show you, and remember, this is the front. When we join, fronts touch each other, okay? So how we want to join our panels here is the same way in which we joined them for just one by one. We're going to take our color again, come in. And now we are just going to add this on. So I'm going to add this on here. I'm going to go back in the corner and make my first single crochet. Now, just as we did with the other way, we're going to go into the first one in that cluster and the first one in the cluster of back. And now we're in the second one and the second one in the back. And make a single crochet, and the third one, so the third one in the back. And on to our next cluster of 3. We want to go through the first one here and the first one in the back. And the second one here, so the second one in the back. And the third one and the third one in the back. And this part, like I said, is exactly the same as when we just were adding them one by one. Now we're just making them, putting those panels together. And everything is the same. If you're on the third one in the front, you want to be on the third one in the back. You're on the first one in this cluster, so you want to be on the first one in the cluster in the back. We're just going to make a simple single crochet to hold it all down. So now I'm on the third one here. So I want to be on the third one in the back. Now this is the only difference right here. So now we're at the corner. We go into both corners, grab our yarn, and make a single crochet. Now you see this area right here from our join when we formed our panels. We do not want to work into this area. This join area we do not work into. So we're going to go from this corner, scoop that out the way, right into this corner. So we're going corner to corner and make our single. So we're going to the first one here and the first one here, make our single crochet, second and second, and the third one and the third one. And then we go to this cluster and we're going the first one here and the first one there, and the second one and the third one. We're here and we go in the first one here and the first one in the back, and the second one in the back, and the third one and the third one in the back, and the first one in the back, and the second in the back, and the third in the back. So as you see, it's the exact same way. The only thing when joining our panels together is to make sure we do not go into what I call the forbidden zone. When we go into our corner, we go into both corners. We skip this zone, the forbidden zone, and we jump over that and go right into our next corner. So that's all you need to know about joining the panels together. You're going to go right down, just like we did when we were making the panels, okay? But we're going to skip over this area right here where we joined our patterns, and we're going corner to corner. So what I want you to do, you're making this, is you're going to take 3 panels of 6, and you're going to join this one all the way down here. We're going to keep going till we get to our corner on here. All right, and then that's going to open up like that, and that's going to be on there, and then we'll take front sides always facing this side, and we'll put this together right here. Okay, so that's going to be how we're going to join our back, and then our whole back will be one continuous piece. So I'm going to keep working this up, and I'm going to add on the other side when I'm finished this side, and I will show you how that looks. Okay, so now we have put together our back. So as you see, folded that and did that side and added that on to that. So the next step that we have to do is take our 5 panels, okay? The panels with 5, and you should have 2 of those. So we're going to take and put 1 panel, turn it around to the wrong side so the front sides are facing here. Now it should meet at the bottom. The last panel here should be here, but on the top half, as I explained before, there will be no panel here. This will become our arms hole, okay? So we want to put 1 on that side, and we want to put the other one, remember, face down on this side. And again, it will be meeting at the bottom, and at the top it will not be, because again, arm spacing. So now we want to go down the line, and we want to add this on, starting from this corner all the way up to the top. And we want to do the same on the opposite side, starting from the bottom and going all the way up to the top. So you can add those two pieces on, would be the next thing to do. Again, remember we're using the color in which the border is done in, and we will add those on with that color, starting from the bottom corner. And we will go all the way down, always matching, wherever we are in the front is where we are in the back. And don't look at it as a big project. Let's look at it from cluster to cluster. I'm on this cluster, so I'm just focusing on this cluster. And so just work it cluster to cluster, and that way you won't be able to miss any stitches. So I'll get both of my sides added on, and then I will show you how to add on the front side. Okay, so I have just added on my side panels here. And here. So our panels of 5 have been added on. The only thing we have left now are our 2 panels with 6 in it. And I'm going to slide this aside here. They are now going to go on top of the panels of 5. Okay, so they're going to go on top of the panels of 5. They will go all the way down to the bottom. And even though the panel of 5 is missing one here, it will go all the way up to the top. So when you are adding it on, you will stop here, and this one just will be like loosey-goosey, okay? So you add this on this side, and on this side, this one again starts at the bottom on top of the panel of 5, and it's going to come all the way up the seams and be loose here. So you'll be just adding on to this side. Now there's one more thing we must talk about with the sides. Now, if you know me, you know I try to incorporate a pocket whenever I can. So I love doing things with pockets. It's just what I do by nature. I'm a pocket person. So when making this with the front panel, this is where I would add in my pocket. So when adding in the pocket, I'm going to crochet from here to, let's see, this is my shoulder. Where do I want my pocket? 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to pick the center, okay? So I'm going to crochet and join. I'm going to crochet and join from here to here. And once I finish in this corner, I will stop, snap off, and then skip this block completely because we're going to need that space to put our pocket in. And then I'm going to start back again on this corner and then go from here to here. So I'm going to go ahead and work that a little with you. So I'm going to start right here in the corner, this corner and this corner. Add on my yarn. And going to match it all the way up just as we have been doing. First one here, first one there, second one here. and then our third here, and our third one here. So nothing changes. Again, it's just going to be where we pick off and end, so we can fit our pocket back in later. So, and if for some reason you want to change your pocket placement, if you want your pocket just say here rather than here, then you would just stop in the corner before you would want your pocket. So you could always change your pocket size. Or if you want an extremely large pocket, you can do a pocket over 2 pieces. Whole point is wherever you want your pocket, and I will show you how to work up the pockets. Just leave that those blocks untouched. Oh, wait. So going in my corners. And skipping over and going into the corner. Almost there. First one here, first one there. And first one here. Second. And third. And first. Second. And third. Okay, so now this is where I want my pocket to be. I need this space opened up. So we're going to just go into this corner, which is our next stitch. And we're going to end off here. We're going to bypass this whole granny square. And we're going to go into the corner here. That way, we have left our pocket untouched. And we just continue all the way till we get to the end of here. Let's push this back. So we worked these two. In our last 6 panel, we left this one open so we can come back later and add our pocket in this area. And now we just have 2 more blocks to work in, because this one, remember, it's going to be loosey-goosey. So we're going to work over these 2 and end off in this corner right before that last block, and then work the other side in the exact same way. I'm going to show you what that looks like at the end, and we'll work up our pockets. Okay, so once you have your front put on, this is your front panel put on, this is how it should look. This is your front panel, your panel 5, and this is the beginning of your back. So you should have this opening, and this opening is going to be, again, for your arm. Now, you should have your pocket, two granny squares, and then your pocket. And then the final 2 squares that you have joined on, and both sides should be just like this. Okay, so once we have this, now we're going to fold it to make your side sit out this way, and your back and your front panel, as it would be if you was wearing it, meet. Okay, so the back panel and your front panel and your side is right here. And do that on the other side. Okay, so with this being like that now, you're going to join on the top from here to here and from here to here. So this is how you're going to connect your back. Okay, and our side be here. And this is how we're going to connect our back. From this block to that block, and this block to this block, joining it just how we've been joining, and this space will remain open. So we're joining in our corners, and we're just going to keep going down and joining. So this, what this is doing is creating pretty much what our shoulder piece. So this is where the shoulder will be in here. And we'll join that all the way down. And this is my last cluster here. And the last one in the cluster, and then my corner. We're going to cut that off. We have our little armhole now. And we're going to go right here on the opposite side and join our front panel to our back panel. Remember, start with your corners. Wait. We'll go all the way down this edge, and then we could actually try it on and see how it looks. It just will be the piece without the pockets, without the arms and the trimming. And this right here is, like I said, to me, the hardest part is putting all the panels together. Because once you have the panels together, you're now working with one full piece. And did it in my corner? No, I take that back, the arms. The arms definitely sometimes can be challenging. Just trying to make sure that they fit correctly. All right, here we go. And that is it. This is the opening. Now that we have this all done, I'm going to move this out the way. And I want to work on our pockets. I'm going to show you how to make the pockets. One pocket is already made. As you see, we're just going around, joining all the way around here, all the way around here continuously. So we have a little opening, okay? So let me show you how to do the pocket. So I have 2 granny squares. I'm going to place them like this, flush, and backs facing you, and we're just going to pick a corner, and we're going to go into any corner. And we're going to join. And we are just going to go all the way around, matching as we have been doing. Going all the way around. All the way. And dun, dun, dun. Wait, don't want to miss a stitch. And I almost did. So my third one here, third one here. Now this is how we're going to turn our corner. We're just going to go into our corner once, right? And then I'm going to go into the corner again. So now I'm facing this way, and now I will continue as I would matching up the sides. So just place 2 in single crochets into your corner, and that will help you turn that corner without having your corners bunched up. We'll do it again on the corner coming up. And all right, I'm in my last cluster. And the second one. And the third one. And in the corner, we will go in once. And then we will go in the second time into the corner. And then we will keep going up to this corner, around this corner, I mean, to the next corner. And I'm on the second one here, on the second one there, on the third one, and third one here. I'm on my last cluster. First one here, first one in the back. second one, and third one, and into my corner. Now once I enter my last corner, simply cut your yarn and end it. Now we're going to turn the pocket on to the right side. Don't be scared to push out them corners. Now we have our pockets, and we have 2 of them. I'm going to demonstrate how to put in one, and then you'll be able to put in the other one on your own. So let's get that pocket in there. Okay, so now we've gone back to our piece. Now let's go to where our pocket is located. Okay, so this is one of our pockets, all right, and we are still on the wrong side of our piece. Now our pocket is going to sit about here because it's 1 block worth, and we're going to add that in. So I want to work on the right side of my work. Okay, so I'm going to open that up to the right side of my work, and you see my pocket is sitting right in there. So this is the wrong side of my work. That's where my pocket's going to sit, on the back side. But we're going to sew it on like this on the front side of our work. Okay, so get my needle and grab my yarn that I have been working with on my borders, and I'm just going to join in a corner. I'm going to go to this corner, and I'm going to go in corner here and corner on my pocket and join them together. Go right back in. And now I'm just going to work this pocket around like we've been doing. First one here, first one there, third one there, and third one here. First one here, first one there. We'll keep going around the line. Where it could possibly get tricky is the corners. Now we're going from this side to the other side. So again, just make sure wherever you are in the front is where you are in the back. All right, and the third one here, I mean first one, and the second one in the back. Oh, wait. Okay, that's our corner. And the third one here. Wait, we pull back some. Make sure that doesn't happen to you. I don't even know what just happened, but make sure you keep it flush. I don't think I missed a stitch or anything. I just let it get away from me and bunched up. Because this is where you're going to end on this corner right here. So 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 and then we're going to work this corner with the corner behind it. Now I'm going to stop for a minute and let you see how this looks. So we have gone from here to here. Going starting from this corner down to this corner. Let's slightly turn this here so we can look at it from this angle. Now if you see, we have our corner to corner. Corner here and our corner here. But here we don't have that really. We have our corner here and we have our corner here. So if we go corner to corner, then that's what it would look like. But then we have this space right here. So without really having any stitches to tag onto, I'm in this corner here. I'm going to take this space right here, and it should look like this on yours too. I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to place it in the corner in which I'm working with now. So I'm taking this corner from this one and I'm going to put it with the corner I just worked in. And that's it. And this right here, this corner from this block, I'm going to take and I'm going to work it into this corner. Now I'm going to work the corner from the block here into the same corner, which solves that problem. Okay, so let's pull this up. Just want to make sure everybody gets it because it's really, really simple to me because I've done it so many times, but I don't want to jump over it if it's not for someone else. So when we're working, on our pockets, we are just working on this block and this block, but you have your two corners from right here that all meet up in this area. So when you're working this corner with the corner that falls right below it, once you finish working that, you're going to have to catch down here and pull that corner in there, and again on the opposite side. So this side we have not worked in this side yet, so maybe you can see it there. You see those two spaces right there? They're on these blocks. We're working on these blocks. So when you get down to this corner on this side, you will have to catch that piece, which is exactly what we just did. And when you're working back on this side, we've already done this one, but you will have to catch that one and put it into this. All right. Now on the opposite side, and I hope you understand why I went over there in a little bit more detail and you get that. So now that we're back on this side, we're just matching all the way down the side, just like we have been doing. So this one goes in the first one, and this one goes in the second one, and the third one. That is the only thing about the pocket. You want to make sure that you close up that top portion, and that is in there. Another way you can do your pocket, you can take your yarn needle and sew your pocket in if you would like to. I believe if I'm crocheting, I'm going to crochet all the way out as much as possible. Of course, there are moments when I have to bring that yarn and needle in to weave in my ends, but if I can crochet a whole piece all the way through without having to pick up that yarn needle, I'm trying to tell you I would. Now, make sure you go through and match. now this is my last cluster before I get to my corner, and I'll show you how to work that corner again. And I have one more stitch here. I don't know why that double crochet is so tight, but we gotta get it. All right, so I'm at my corner now, so I'm gonna go in my corner in the front and my corner in the back and secure that down. Now that piece that I was showing you, you can see it open here, so we don't have this gap right here. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to go right back into that same corner that I just came out of, and I'm going to put that there. Okay, now on the opposite side, I'm going to go and grab this one on this side, and I'm going to place this one through the corner that we started in, and it's done. Now leave enough yarn so you can weave in this in really good, so you won't see any of that. So we're on the right side of our piece, and our pocket is in. We're gonna weave in this. You can weave in this, and when you're weaving that in, so you do not forget, always come back and tack this pocket down. Okay, so to tack your pocket down, you're just going to here and here. Just take a little yarn, here, there, and your pocket's good, and it's down. All right, and that's it. So you have your pocket. So just go on the opposite side. Yeah. And take your pocket and place it in there. And go ahead and put on your other pocket. Now, once we finish with our pockets, we are now going to turn our work completely on the right side. We will no longer be working on the wrong side with our piece. We will now totally be working on the right side. So the next thing we're going to do is not going to be on the sweater. It's going to be off of it. But now we have to work up our arms. Okay. So this is where our arm is going to go. But we're going to work that up aside from this, off of this. Okay, now this is an almost finished arm. It's an almost finished arm one because I only go but so far. This is the end where your hand would be. So I only go so far with this, and then once it's placed onto the sweater, then kind of having a try on and see how much more space we need. This is right before we're going to place it around the arm. So this is how the arm, I decided to do it here, and let me break that down to you. The arm is simple though. So this is this portion of the arm. Okay, so what I have here is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. I've taken a granny square and I've gone 11 rows. Okay, and once we are here, I'm going to fold it. So I'm going to fold it on the wrong side, fold it, and we're going to do our join here. And once we join here, then we will begin to work these rows on this side and these rows on that side. So this is how the arm is done. Now remember, this is a small arm. One, we're using a smaller hook. So that's one thing. I'll go ahead and talk to you while I join this. So for your size one, make sure that this is going to fit around your arm how you want it. And this is too tight for me. It's not tight. My arm can fit up in here, but you want to make sure it can fit in there in the manner in which you're comfortable with. I would be using a larger hook anyway, so that would probably give me the size that I require. But that's the first thing. So once you have made as many rows as you need to, again, this was 11 rows. You're going to fold it on the wrong side, and we're going to go up here. And we're going to just add this on, work this up in the exact same way we have joined everything else. I'm going to close this up here. Okay, so once you have went all the way up and joined that, you're going to pull this on the right side. There you go. Okay, pull that on the right side. And the bottom here, I don't know if you can see, I put an increase here in order to make this portion a little bit wider as it goes out the bottom. I do believe I did 2 increases here and then here, just to make that wider at the bottom. And the top I kept the same. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 rows at the top. So let's start at the top. Now we're going to turn this around. We're going to pick a side to go into right here. And I'm going to put a cluster of 3 right in there. And we're going to move over to the next space. And put a cluster of 3 there. And keep going around. So we're going to keep going all the way around, and we're going to end it in our last corner on the other side. Okay, now our last one is going to be into the corner. Right into the corner. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to slip stitch in the top of that first one in the cluster. Now, if you're still working the same color, let me point this out. If you're not changing colors like me, then what you would do is slip stitch 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Chain up, and then keep working your clusters and work that all the way around if you are not changing your colors, okay? But I am changing into my next color, so I'm going to go back. So now you know what to do if you're not changing colors. You're just going to slip stitch here, here, and in here. Chain up 3. That 3 counts as a double crochet, and work that work back around, just like if you have been. If you are changing colors, then it doesn't matter. Just clip that off. And my next color. And I'm going to go right back here. Add on. And with my cluster. And then I'm going to go in every hole. Continuing my clusters all the way back around to the beginning, at which point I'm going to slip stitch back into here. And again, if you're changing colors, just cut. If you're not changing colors, slip stitch 1, 2, and 3 into there, and then go ahead and start. Now you're going to have 9 rows total, just like this. So we're going to have 9 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And it's all going to be exactly like this. Okay, so this is the top in the 9 rows. Again, this will be attached to the sleeve portion, and we'll work that out when we're done. Now we have to create the bottom, and again, I said the bottom increases in this row right here. So if you want a straight arm, then just work this bottom part just as we did up at the top. If you like the slight increase, there's only 2 increases on this row. The rest of them are worked just like we worked everything else. Then you're going to do this. Now we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 rows here. So let me get my color. I'll show you how to work the increases on this side. So we want to start on our back of our work, and we're working our first stitch is going into the corner. So now this is where our first increase is going to go. So once we have our first cluster of 3 there, we want to chain 1 and go right back into that same corner and place another cluster of 3. Now this is going to be an increase, because when we go back around on the next row, we will now go into here, which gives us another space to go into. So we're going to work in 5 more spaces, 5 clusters of 3. So that's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and this is our 5th one. So into this one, the next one, this is where we'll put another increase. And that is going to be 1 cluster of 3, chain 1, and another cluster of 3 into that same space. And we'll keep going around into. Now if your arm, you wind up doing more rows than I did for your arm, then you will have more spaces going around. So just make sure that your increases are spaced out. I was able to space them out evenly. If for some reason your number does not come out even around, which it should, you should still keep them as evenly spaced apart as you can. And our last stitch is into this corner. And that's the 3rd in that cluster. And now we're going to just close that off in the top of the chain 3 we begin with. I am changing my color, so I am cutting my work. If you are not cutting your work because you're not changing colors, then remember you're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches over here, and then the 3rd one is going to go in here, chain up 3, and begin your cluster of 3 from there. Now with my next color, I just want to go around and show you how you're just going to work right into those open spaces that you have created, the new increases. Now you're going to go right into that space that you created and put your cluster of 3 in there. And you'll just keep going around, working in all the open spaces in between the clusters. Until you get to the next area. Okay. And see, it's easier to do all of this when the arm is not attached. Now we're going to go into our next increased space, which is here. And put our cluster of 3, and then continue out our row as we have been. And each row after that, we don't have to make any more increases. Each row after that will be carried out working one cluster of 3 in between each previous cluster of 3 all the way to the end. And we'll have 8 rows on this side total. Now that 8 may not get you all the way to your wrist, but once we attach the arms, then we try on for our final fit and see how many more rows we need in order to achieve the length of arm and which we desire. So my last stitch, I am going to go on the top of the chain 3 in which I started, cut off. I am going to create the rest of my sleeve. And what's my next color? And you can, yeah, do the same, and we'll meet back when we're both done. Okay, so now we have our both of our arms finished. Okay, so now we have to attach our arms. So this area right here is where we're going to be attaching our arms. Before we can just jump in and just add them on, we have to acknowledge how many spaces we have around here. And this is the top of our arm, which is going to fit into here. We have to acknowledge how many spaces we have in here. Okay, so we have, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 clusters here. Okay, so we're going to count our spaces around here. So so we know how many spaces we need to decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we go into each corner. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine this corner and these corners and these corners, and with all of that combined, we should turn out with 15 stitches altogether, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. So when we combine these corners, we'll take all of that out and we should have 15 stitches all around, and then we'll just have to come down to 12 from the 15. So we don't want to do too much decreasing on one in one row, because it's going to look too messy. So we want to right now take out these corners. So to begin, this is our first corner. I'm not going to start there though. I'm going to start in on this block, which would be underneath our arm. 2, 3, because that's where I want my seam to be. So I'm just going to go into this first space and create another cluster. So now I'm going to move over and I'm going to work my clusters out until I get to a corner space. And that is when I will start decreasing. All right, so I am at my first corner space here. Now, turn this more. Now, I have 3 corners going on here. I have the one from the side. I have this one right here, and I also have this one right here. So I have 3 corners. I will place 1 double crochet in each corner, and that will bring it together to make that now one piece. So in this corner here, I place 1 double crochet. In the next corner off to the side, I place 1 double crochet, and in this corner here, 1 double crochet. So now all of those now become one cluster of 3. Spin my work around so I can work on now this side. And again, I am just going to work 1 cluster of 3 into every space, which requires me to put a cluster of 3 till I get to my next corner. Right? So now I am back at another corner space. All right, but this corner space is not with the 3, it's just 2. So you have 1 corner here and 1 corner here. We are going to join these corners. So it doesn't matter which one you're going to put 1 in, and just say this one you'll put 2 in, just to bring it together to make that all one cluster. Okay, so now that is a cluster of 3. And now we'll work on this side. And we'll keep going and working into our clusters areas with clusters until we get to our next corners. This is our last cluster. And now we are at a corner. So now we are at a corner, and this corner is just like the first corner was. We have the corner from this block here, granny square, the one from this corner, from this one, and from this one. So what we want to do is do like we did before, go into this corner and place 1 double, go into this corner and place 1 double, and go into this corner and place 1 double. Now they become a cluster of 3. Spinning our work around. Now I am back to where I started. I have 1 space for a cluster of 3. And I'm going to go in the top of the chain 3 in which I began with. Now I'm going to count and see if I have to decrease again in order to meet my size, depending on how many you have around your arm. If your arm, you had to make it longer, more, this is what you would do as well. Just count. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So now we have 15 going all the way around. We brought these ones in. So instead of having to make one in here and in here, now we have one. So we decreased over here. We have over here, instead of having to make a cluster here and a cluster here, we have brought that together. And now that is a cluster. And the same over here, instead of having to put a cluster over in this corner and in this corner, we have brought that together so we don't have to put a cluster in there. So now we're going to slip stitch over into our next open space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain up 1, 2, and 3. So now we are at 15. We need to get to 12. So that means we will again get rid of 3 spaces. So where, before we start, so I can show you where we're going to get rid of our 3 spaces is we're going to get rid of it here. Okay, I'm going to bring 2 spaces together down here. We're going to get rid of it on this side, and we're going to get rid of it on this side. So every side, because 3 sides, every side is going to lose a stitch. Well, lose a cluster of 3. So if I'm here and just say this is the middle, I want to get rid of these clusters, say here and here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to go over here and go 3. That's going to bring that together. When I come back around, this will not be in existence. This 2 now becomes just 1. If you have another way you want to decrease, great. I think I decrease different ways every single time I do this because I really don't think about it. I just do it. So if you watch previous videos, you probably will see me decrease in different ways. I want to now go in here. I want to lose this one, and I'm going to decide to lose this one over here too. So this one, I'm going to make 1 double crochet here, and over here I'm going to make 2. Okay, that's going to take that away. Now I'm just going to continue because I've already made 2. Then I'm just going to continue to make my clusters of 3s all the way around. And we're going to go in here. Here. And here. And here, and I do believe, yeah, we're coming up on that last corner where we decreased, and we're going to decrease in there again. right, so now we're going to make these two one. So I'm going to go in here twice. And I'm going to come over here on the opposite side once. And now I'm going to go into the last one. It's a regular cluster of 3. Slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that we began with. Let me pull this up, and we're going to count our clusters now. Well, we're going to count the spaces, okay, that we're going to go in. So 1, 2, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so the reason why I counted the spaces because I don't like joining on a row that I've just done decreases in. So we're going to do what I like to call a clean row. So you're just going to go in those spaces and create your 12 clusters. So we're going to slip stitch over to our first space. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain up. And we're going to go in that space 2 more times for our first cluster. And our next one. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to do that all the way back around. This is why we try to do as much of the arm work aside from this, because once you attach it and you're working it on your sweater, it's just a lot of spinning all the material around. So just make sure you're where you have major increases that you are, decreases that you are skipping every 3 double crochets, because the ones where you decreased on, which I'll show you one when we get to it, are kind of spaced out a bit. All right. All right, now here's one where we put 2 here and 1 here in order to create our 3. So we want to make sure we go through here. Put our 3 clusters on this side. And then we want to make sure we skip over 1, 2, and 3 and put our cluster on the other side. And we are back at our last stitch. So we're going to come in here and put our last cluster of 3. Join to the top of there. And I'm going to cut my work here. gonna make sure I count up again. One, two, no, start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have my 12 spaces for my arm size that I'm making. Of course, everybody, now this arm size would not be good for me. My arm is definitely bigger than that, but for the small size, this is where we're at. So if you're making a different size, make sure you bring in your armhole, whatever you have here. Make sure you bring it down to the top of your arm so your arm can fit. Okay, you can also do the same way we did an increase at the bottom. If you want to use that increase method to increase on this side as well, in order to come out with the same amount of clusters here as you have here. Okay, so we want to make sure we bring this to where we need it to be. Now, another thing I want to point out, the reason why, well, the first time we went around, we worked our decreases over the corners because it's hard to see that we have worked decreases over our corners. The second time we went around and we worked our decreases, we worked them mostly at the bottom. Why? Because this part is under your arm, and we went up here to look nice and clean and pretty, so you will not basically see them. So now that we have had our hole made, now we are going to attach our arm. So the arm is going to be on the right side. It's going to be on the right side. Now, in order to place your arm on, you're going to have to turn your piece on the wrong side, okay? So the arm is on the right side, and your hole is on the wrong side. Now, what we want to achieve is, you see the line right here where you have joint? You want this join area to fall kind of at the center of your side piece, right up under your arm, okay? So I'm going to put my arm in, and I'm watching where this is. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to pull it out a little bit so you can see it. I want this joint area to kind of be right with this center area. So I'm going to kind of center this a little bit. I think that's about right. So I'm going to slightly pull it out so it stays where I want it. And because you have now decreased your armhole to fit the same sizing of your arm, it should be a easy join. And again, I'm just making sure, where am I? Okay, so I'm here, 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 here. So I'm going to try to make sure that is as close to the middle as I can get, okay? So I have no pins. I tend to put stuff on with no pins. You can pin this to make sure it does not move, but because it's so it matches so perfectly, I'm not worried about that moving as I try to attach this. Now we're going to attach it just like we've attached everything else. Going to put my, now there, because you have spent this around to match that, it might not add up perfectly, but I'm going to make it. So I am actually going in the last cluster here, and I'm going to catch the last cluster here to make sure that it's an even match with the clusters. I'm going to make my single crochet, and I'm just going to go around this whole piece, matching the holes just as we have done for everything else. And that is pretty much going to be it for the arm. You're just going to go around the whole piece, matching holes, all the way around. Now, once we have our arm spoon on, it's fairly simple after that. We just are going to go around the inside of the sweater, around the neckline, and build more body to our sweater. To me, that's the fun part, because that means everything is almost done, and it's going to be all about how many rows you need to complete in order to get this fit to the size that you want. The one I made for me, I did 12. I will put 12 probably around this one as well, and then do my try on to see if that's good. But just go ahead and put this on all the way around, just connecting it, and I'll come back in and show you what that looks like once we get all the way around. So I am back around at my beginning. I'm gonna cut my yarn. Pull through. Now, when I flip this over, there you go, your arm. It's attached. And let me see if you see exactly what I meant when I said you want to line the seam up. You see, there's that seam, and it falls where it should under here, okay? So you're just going to attach your other arm in the exact same way. And don't forget, don't be too tight, because you want this to be kind of seamless. And if you pull these too tight, then it'll make it kind of buckle in. So you want to have them tight, but semi-loose, so they not loose, but you don't want to pull too tight so everything does not buckle in because you pulled your joins too tight. So it should look like that, like one piece. Okay, so that is our arm. So we have put on your other arm. I have not gotten to that yet, but I'm going to move along and show you the next step. Okay, so what we have here is our piece closed as it would be. This is your neckline around your neck, and this is the piece closed. Okay, so we want to start at the bottom, putting this border around where we're going to go all the way up around the neckline and come all the way back around the other end and down. Okay, so we're going all the way up this side, around the neckline, and we're coming all the way back down. All right, so we're going to start here. And my first color, I'm going to use the color that's in the middle. Like I said, I'm thinking about doing this 12 times. So I'm going to keep in theme of my arm. And I'm going to do my colors exactly as I have them on my arm here. I thought about doing the more solid version to bring that in again. But I think I'm going to go with the multicolored. So it's all about choice, and of course each way will make it look different. And I'm rethinking it even as I say it. How should I do it? Should I do it solid? Let's see. Let's do it solid. I'll do my first round in my first color, and then I'll see if I'll continue on and do another round in it, and then I'll do 2 colors per round and make it more solid, because we already have all these colors and I want to make it look its best. So we're going to start with our corner, okay, and we're going to go on our corner and chain 3. Then we're going to go back into our corner and put 2 more clusters. Now we're going to just go right to our next one and put another cluster there. And another cluster. So we'll pretty much be working this up in every large hole and also in our corners. Alright, so we're coming to our corner, right? In our corner, we're going to go work a cluster in our corner. Alright. And then we're going to go to our next corner on our next granny square, and we're going to go in there and work another cluster. So when we come back around, we will be working a cluster into the space. So we're going to go all around in that way, working one cluster into every space. And into every corner. Even around the neck. Okay, so I wanted to come in and show you the neckline. So this is our neckline, okay? And I'm just coming up to the top of it. Now I don't want you to miss this. There's a granny square here, and make sure you catch that corner. But there's also a corner from this back piece right here that comes out right here, and you'll notice that large hole, okay? And you make sure you catch that corner as well, and then you're going to catch the corner right here on this one. So when you come up here, it should be 3 corners, 1, 2, and 3, because it's this block, and this block. So you make sure you catch all those corners. I'll work around on the other side going down so we can look at those corners again, because it should be on the other side as well. I don't want you to miss anything. And as I'm going around, I am going over more of the edges from more of the edge pieces where I ended my squares as I go around. I try to work over as many of them that comes up in the whole project. Okay, so we are coming up on that corner system that I was saying. So here's one on the block that we're working on, the center piece of the back. And that's a corner. So we put a cluster there. Then we have right next to it, we have the other back piece, and you see how open that space is. Okay, so do not miss that space. And put a cluster there. And then there's this one right here on the front panel, the first one at the top. And we want to make sure we put one there. Now, other than that, we're just going to keep going down, because now we're working back down this piece. So now we will continue just working all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so I've come to my end. I'm going to end my end like this. But when I go to my next row, I'm going to chain up 1. Got to turn my work. It's a lot of work to turn. Okay, so I'm going to turn my work after chaining 1. And now I'm going to go right back into that first double. And make a double. Now that double is going to stand by itself. I'm going to come over to the hole. And I'm now just going back around the piece. And I guess I did decide to keep with the same color. Going back around the piece. And I'm going to make my cluster of 3s. So when we come back, again, I will put 1 here. Okay, so I'll show you, because the edging is going, the edging is going to alternate between a cluster at the end and one, a double at the end. Okay, so I'll come back in to show you how your ending is going to alternate um, off and on, but just keep going around and putting your clusters in. And you're just going in all the holes for the clusters, just putting the clusters in. Remember though, with the space that you made, with where you put one in each corner, you will go in between that new space and put a cluster in there. So I will see you on the other side, where I'll show you how to end it and make sure we get the right stitch in the right place. Okay, so now we've come back to the other end. So I just want to make sure we go into the right spaces. So here we're going to place our cluster. And just like on the other side, we started with a standing double by itself. We're going to go into the top of this double, but it started out as a chain 3, but oh wait, I'm trying to get 2 pieces. Yeah, and I still didn't do it. Wait a minute. All right, there we go. And we're gonna make a double here. All right, now if you're not finished, if you're not switching colors, because I'm about to switch colors, if you're not switching colors, then I'll show you what to do. You're just going to keep working just like how we were working. But if you are switching colors like me, then you're just going to cut this off. Now, if you have not switched your color, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Me, I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work because I am not, I don't have to do the chain 1 because I'm starting a new color. So remember, chain 1, turn your work if you're still working with the same color. All right, I'm going to go to, oh, I almost put on the wrong color. This is my next color. And I will put in the description box the names of all the colors that I'm working with. Like I told you at the beginning in the intro, that I'm working with nothing but Red Heart. But I will put the names of all the colors in the description box in order in which you see them here, just so you know what colors I'm working with. Because I don't think I said that. So if you're starting, you're just gonna get on there, and then you're gonna chain up 1, 2, and 3, and I think I just did 4. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. So we want to, on this one now, we're going back into this hole. Okay, now we always have to keep a consistent line here at the bottom. So when you go back, you'll be going in here. The first one will be done on top of this standing double. That is going to be always right. And then we'll go into the space and put our 2. Okay? And it will look exactly like that on the way back. On the other side, we will go into this space 2 times and then place our last one on the end here. But I will come back in and show you how that looks, so you can see it done. And then I think we can carry on from there, working it out the rest of the way. All right, so I'm going to meet you on the other side so I can show you how that same stitch looks going out. Okay, so I am back at the end on the opposite side. So we're going to go in here and put 2 doubles. And then we're going to place that last double on top of the standing double from the previous row. So remember, again, they all alternate. Your first one should be a cluster at the end, or your second one should be a standing double, and then you go back to the cluster. But remember, when you go back to the cluster, you only have two going in this hole, and one is on top of the standing double by itself. And then we're going to chain one, turn our work. From here, we're going to place into the first hole a double crochet. Okay? And then we're going to consistently go into every space, making our clusters as we have been. So that means when you get to the opposite side, you will have a double, you will have a cluster, and you will end with a double on to your last double in this cluster. And that's how you're going to alternate on your ends. So I will go find a spot on my comfy couch, and I'm going to continue this out for as many rows as I desire. I will let you know how many rows I go with. I know I'm going to do 2 rows of each color, and then the gray will carry out however many rows I decide to go past that, if I decide to go past that. And I will come in and tell you how many rows for the small that I have done. Okay, so I have finished putting my inside border around the bottom, all the way around the collar, and all the way back down to the opposite side's bottom. And I have put on 10 rows. I did 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2 in each color, and my rows are now done. I tried it on, it's a perfect size. Now, I remember I said with the try on, you're going to see if you need more space, more rows in your arm. I tried it on for the small, and I do not need any more length in my arm area. So my arm, around my wrist is completely finished. So that is done. Didn't need any more there. If you need more there, you're just going to put it on just like we did everything else. Just going into each of the holes. Just going into each of the holes and putting another cluster of 3. And you just put on as many as you need in order to have the proper size to the wrist that you want. Okay. So that's all done. So the only thing now we have to do is now we have to come to the bottom and put on a bottom border. Okay? So this is not this is our border around the piece here, but we have to put a border around the bottoms. So I'm gonna turn this. It's coming to be a big piece around. And I'm gonna look at it this way. So I'm just gonna start in the corner, and we're gonna put 2 rows on here. Now we're gonna work our rows just in the exact same way as we did going up here, working in every corner. But for this section right here, I will show you where's the best place to place your clusters. So let's get our yarn and our needle back. Oop. Trying to find the end. All right. Okay, so we're going to start right in this double crochet. Now if you've made more rows, this might not end in a double crochet, it might end in a cluster depending on how many rows you did. Either way, that last double in either the row clusters, which would be here if you ended on a cluster row, or where we see right here with a standing double by itself, we're going to end in the top of there, and we're going to chain up 3. Now because I'm doing 2 rows, I'm going to leave this the standing cluster, standing double by itself, so when I come on my second row will end in a cluster. So for my first stitch, I'm going to come into this area right here, and I'm going to place in between the doubles, and as you see, that's in between the doubles, I'm going to place a cluster. Oop. Now I am going to come over here. I'm skipping this row, okay, and I'm going to come over here to this row right here, and I'm going to place another cluster right here in between that first one and the second one. So it's right in between the first and the second one. And again, I'm going to skip this single crochet row, and I'm going to go inside this row. Place my cluster. So you see how it looks so far. And now I'm going to skip this double, and I'm going to go in between these right here on the cluster row. And again, I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to go in between here. So now my first stitch back where we regularly would be working would be right here into this corner. So I'm going to go into that corner. And then I'm going to keep going out, making one cluster for every space in between the previous clusters, and as well as the corners. So I'm going to go all the way out to the other side before it comes into this area again on the opposite side, so you can see how to carry that out. Okay, so I've made it back around to my last corner. I'm going to work my cluster right into that corner. And now I'm going to go in between these two in that cluster. I'm going in between the first and the second one. I'm going to still skip this one, and into the next cluster I'm going to work in between the first and the second one. It's trying to get away from me. And I'm going to skip this one and into the third one. I mean, into the next cluster. I'm going to work into in between the first and the second. Okay, skipping that one, I'm going to now move over here, working between the first and the second, double in that cluster. And I'm going to skip that one and come over here and work into in between the first and the second in that cluster. Now, remember we started on the opposite side with one single standing double crochet, and we're going to go right there, right at the top of that one. And okay, so now we're going to chain one and turn our work. Now we're going to go right back into this one and make a double. And we're going to go into this space and complete this cluster with two more into that space. And now we'll just work our clusters the way we normally work our clusters, all the way around to the opposite side. And I'll come in again and show you how that ends, because it's going to end in the exact same way that it began. And do not forget where we have made where we have worked into our corners. That is going to be, it's going to look like this. Make sure you separate that and go in between. And then keep going along, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I have gotten all the way back around, and now we're going to work the end. We're going to make our last cluster and part in this space right here. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in there, and then the last double crochet is going to go in the top of that single standing double crochet. And unless you want to put more rows on your piece, this is done. So the only thing now to do is with the other piece, you saw that there was tassels. So we're going to add in tassels here. Let's see. We're going to add in some tassels. So of course our tassels are going to go at the bottom of our sweater. This is the bottom and it's on the right side. So now the talk is about how big you or long you want your tassels. So for the one in the beginning, I showed you I've used something extremely long to make that. And if you watch my videos, you know I make my tassels with whatever I can find. And this also helps you with the sizing. So for this one, I decided to, because it's a small, so that means a smaller person, I decided to make tassels that would give it about that much height. So everybody knows what a tasty cake box is, right? So a tasty cake box folded in half pretty much is the size of these tassels. So what I'm going to do is, because I always use whatever I have available in order to make tassels, is usually books. But when I had to make my other one, I had to go extremely long, so I had to improvise. And following suit with how I improvised with the first one is how we're going to do it with this one too. So I'm going to hold my yarn right about here, okay? And I'm just going to take and wrap it 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 and wrap it, because we're going to need a bunch of these. And I'm doing my tassels with the green color. This is hunter green. So I'm going to make quite a few of these. And we're just going to wrap and wrap and wrap. And you can wrap as many times, because if you don't have enough, you can always come back and make more, and your tassels will all be the same size because you use the same thing. So once I have that, I'm going to cut this extra string that I started with off, and then I'm going to hold this, and just like that, now I have tassels, and they're all the same size except for that one that I started with. You see that one hanging down there. Still going to use it. So when making your tassels, you want to take however many you want. I'm going to do 2, and I'm fold it in half. You see that? Take 2, fold it in half. Now I'm going to pick where I want to start, which for me it's going to be in this corner. I still have to weave in that in, but I can weave that in later. So I'm going to start in this corner. I'm going to put my hook where I want my tassel to go. I'm going to hook this on there and pull it through. Now I'm going to pull it through enough where I could just grab this loop and pull down tight. Okay, so I'll do a couple more of these. I think I'm actually going with this in the spaces right below the clusters, in between the clusters. Okay, I'm not going in between, I'm actually going in the tops of the doubles. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to pull through. Then I'm going to grab my yarn, put my fingers in, grab those pieces, and pull down. Okay, and that's going to be the tassels for this one. The tassels for the other one were extremely large. And when I did my try on to make sure that my arm length was good, and that I had all that I wanted to go around the neckline, this inner border, I also sized for the tassels. So it's going to be all on you how long you want your tassels, or even if you want tassels, because not for nothing, this piece is beautiful without the tassels. Okay, I love it without the tassels as well. So if you're not a tassel person, and you, because I like mine, but I'm not a tassel person. I just did it with the tassels just for show. I'm not a tassel person, even though I love the way those tassels look on the other piece. But this is how you're going to place your tassels on. Remember, wherever you want to place them, I'm placing them in the double right below the space in between my clusters. You're going to grab some tassels. I chose 2 because that's going to turn into 4. Slip it on your hook, pull it through, put your hand in there, and just grab them tassels and pull down. Make sure you pull down tight, that way you don't have to worry about your tassels coming off. Okay, and let us look at this. Oh. These tassels are nice. So I'm going to put all the tassels on this thing here, and I'm going to clean up and make sure I weave in any ends that are left, or clip off ends that I've already sewn over or crocheted over, and we'll give this a final show. I'm on to go. All right, so this is how it turned out. Absolutely love these colors and love how it worked out. With this one, again, we stayed more uniform with the blocks. So, and the fringe, you see how it's a little bit shorter on this one, the small size, which I like that too. But this came out nice. Just remember when you finish making your sweater, hang it up and let it rest, and the folds where you have joint your granny squares will just automatically they'll fall down themselves. This is just beautiful, stunning. Pockets all in, fringe all in, and there's nothing else to say about this one. All right, let me get the back one more time. You see how the arms worked up. um I just, this thing is just stunning. It's just visually appealing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and come back and see me again on the corner. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you like this video, and go make this. Okay.